morning. Well, it's Saturday morning. Yay. And we're starting to get a little colder, but we'll see what comes out of that. It's another weekend, and what is it? We're now 4 weeks away from the big day. And what have you done? Can I start now by saying that what have you done to help out someone at Christmas? How about getting an unwrapped toy to the local Christmas Bureau? Something to help out there. Okay, so it's getting cold out there. And by Sunday night, we could be getting really cold and have snow falling. Now, Albertans really hate us because we really don't know how to drive in a snow when we get snow on the ground. And sorry, I seem to have hair on my nose. But I think not all of us, but I think a number of us really don't know how to drive when there's snow on the grounds. And people seem to race, and everyone has to race around and try to get anywhere faster. I was hit by a drunken driver when I left a Christmas party, and I wasn't drinking, and I left in my wheelchair and was hit by a drunk driver. So, people seem to do stupid things. And I think we have to take steps back and say, if you're going to be drinking, if you're not that great out on, dry roads, why would you be out trying to drive around in winter conditions? People seem to think that they're a lot better driving than they actually are. And everyone needs to be fair. Simple when they rate themselves driving. Oh, I'm a great driver. Oh, yes, oh, well. I know personally, I have a depth perception problem. So I'm not a great driver. I'm a good driver, but I'm not a great driver. So, if you don't have snow tires on your car, don't be stupid enough to go out driving in snow. Especially fresh snow. Now, usually Vancouver gets wet snow and then it turns to rain. Well, what's going to happen is, because of the temperature-wise, it's going to be sticking around for a few days. And that means that probably till Tuesday, it's going to stick around. So, let's be sensible out there. We have excellent transit. God, I don't know why I'm so itchy there. I think I'm allergic to this coat. But everyone seems to think, oh, well, we've got a plan. And you speak to. I know I worked at the office for 7-Eleven for many years. And every time there was a threatened snow on the grounds or icy temperatures going to be happening, they'd be sending out, or the PA would come on and say, make plans. Don't be stuck trying to get to work in the morning, because a lot of the people in the building were paid on an hourly rate. And, they would all try to pack into their little cars and head out there. And we're in the middle of a rainforest. And, there's a lot of hills all over the place. And people just keep, oh, no, and then they crash or they go over an embankment. So, get up a bit earlier. If you know the temperatures are going to drop and that there is snow in your forecast, or the temperatures have dipped and it's going to be clear out, well, then you know that you really shouldn't be out there driving. So maybe get out there early, get to the bus stop, and pay the difference. But then there's always the people who feel, well, I have a car. I should be able to drive to work if I want to. But it's just the same mentality that gets people into accidents after they go out drinking. They don't make any plans. And so people end up getting in to car accidents, and then there's a whole big legal battle over things. So come up with an action plan. You could try phoning a cab, but you know what? You're not going to be able to get one unless you're that early in the morning. And then coming home, you're not going to be able to get a cab. The only real answers are twofold. Whichever way you want to do it, take public transportation. And get up early and get out there, wrap yourself warm and get out there and get to the bus stop. The second one is don't go into work. If you're able to work at home, make that your plan. But we are so stubborn that even if we make these rules, we don't live by them. People, well, like I said, are stubborn. But what happens if you slip and you happen to take out someone who's crossing the street? The guilt that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. But, people always, oh, well, I know best and I'm an excellent driver. Even if you're an excellent driver, get off the road. You may be an excellent driver, but let me put it to you this way. What about the other people? They're not great drivers. And, they could be aiming for you. Well, maybe not aiming is the correct word. But, driving and, there are more accidents when it snow falls. And the worst thing that could probably happen to Vancouver is snow falls on a Friday or a Saturday. Because people get out and they get drinking and they all think that they can drive and how much wonderful they can drive. It's garbage. We need to stop this. And so this Monday morning, or if it happens tomorrow night, during the night, don't go to work if you don't go to work. Yeah. Or don't get behind the wheel of a vehicle if you are out there having to go someplace. Take the SkyTrain, take the bus. Oh, well, I don't like being on the bus because 50,000 other people get on the bus. But, could be worse. You could be lying in a morgue. And if you're lying in the morgue, what sort of life are you going to have then? You're not going to have any life. So don't be stupid. Take transit, or if you can, stay home. In Vernon, there's a city of Vernon is planning an extension to an ice skating rink, and I think they call it Cal Tire Rink. Well, there's a new extension going to be added to the rink, and one of the counselors either works or owns the company that won the contract. And this former city councilor is sort of calling for his resignation. Now, the people on the council who have been involved in the bidding process has said that this counselor has been transparent, and whenever he or she whenever they were discussing the project, he or she would leave the room. And to me, I really don't see an issue with this. I would see an issue if he stayed in the room and he voted on the projects and everything. Now, there would still be an issue if he voted on the project. Then he should step down. But just being out there, he shouldn't have to step down. So, in the city, just because he works for the city or he's a counselor, should he not be not awarded, it's probably the wrong word to say there, but allowed to compete for jobs? Now, if another person who, I don't know, was a garbage collector in the city of Vernon and wanted to bid on a project, would this, and this guy is a former councilman, would he be in the same predicament? To me, it sounds like this guy is trying to get a seat back on council. It doesn't sound like this guy is doing it for the goodness of Vernon. It's a lot of people always seem to looking for conflict of interest anywhere they can find it. Now, in the States, there are already people saying that Donald Trump has to sell his DC hotel, just because it may look for a conflict of interest. Not saying that there is going to be one, and I'm not saying I'm for Trump in any way. Please don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is that until there is a sign of impropriety, then why are we out looking for it? It's like everyone's trying to make a big name for themselves. And whether you're Donald Trump or Ojek, I think this counselor person's name is, if he's being transparent in his dealings, don't go looking for a smoking gun. And I think that's exactly what this person is trying to do. They're trying to make points being shown. They're trying to make things not up, but build them up. That's what I'm trying to say. So that people will become they can benefit from it. And, no one said anything about this gentleman. However, I think they still want, he should resign. But if he has people stating that he was transparent in any angles of what he did, then what's the problem? But again, if I get enough people, have him resign, then I could run in his place and I will have a good name. Why are we seem to be going through and having people state, if we keep forcing things, we'll reap the benefits of it. In the States, it was Donald Trump calling Hillary, she's so crooked and she's so, she's done such terrible things. And even when the FBI came out with that finding, which was totally nothing, but so many people had already heard about it, and I've said this before, and it fits into what we're discussing here now. All people who run for office should run for office running on what they plan to do, not going after character assassination. Because you know what? One day it will come back to haunt you. Now, no one has said of this former counselor in Vernon, if, in the next election, if he plans to run again. It just seems very convenient, if you know what I mean. Having people just going after other people and not saying what they're going to do. If the person, and we're talking about the counselor who owns, I think it's an architectural company up in Vernon, goes out and, he says, oh yes, we should pick my company or this company because they're the best. No one knows that they're that he's the owner. He votes for his own company. That's a conflict of interest. But if he does what he is, he leaves the room when they're bringing up the discussions. What's the conflict of interest? But, oh yes, he really should resign. Why should he resign? He hasn't done anything wrong. But this counselor former counselor is quite adamant about this. He doesn't say any way that he, just because his company had a contract with him. And the city has pretty well said that A, he was transparent, and B, that he, what was the word? Oh, that it couldn't be separate from city council. But in the bids, they couldn't be more different. And in a city, a small town or city in the province, how many people do we have that have different companies? I don't think there is that many. So, do we have to step back and say that if you work for this city, your company can't be open to any other jobs? Now, is that fair to someone being a city councilor? Do they have to resign if they get a job? Or, are bidding on a job? I think we have to stop and maybe come up with different rules. If something was done, if something wasn't done, then I don't see a problem with it. unless you're trying to run for a city council seat. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, there was a... Nico's over here wanting to play again, so if I get pulled off the screen, you'll know why. There was, or there is, a high school teacher whose son was going through cancer treatment, that's what it was. And she is now being charged with injecting her own feces into her son's IV. Now she's being charged with attempted murder. And what makes her think that this was okay? Whether her son was suffering or not does not give anyone the right to do this. And why are we getting more and more gross as we move on with our lives? You know, to inject your feces into some other human being, regardless of whether it's your husband, your son, your daughter, your wife, whatever. This lady should be charged, and she should also be held over for psychiatric evaluation. I mean, her son was going through the treatment in order so that he could live. He could carry on his life and live a full life. So, what makes her have the right to go and take her child's life? You know, over the years, there have been many mothers who have tried to kill their children, and, you know, there's been a number that have been successful. And, you know, they keep going through this, and we don't point up or speak out and say, you know what? If you're feeling this way, get help. If anyone goes for any medical treatment whatsoever, then they are laughed at. It's kind of like, oh well, yeah, he's loony. And why do we have to criticize? You know, very rarely is someone kidded or joked about because they have cancer or they have anything else, diabetes. But they are if they have any mental condition. And doctors have agreed many times over that mental illness is called mental illness for a reason. So, you know, this lady may have felt like she could not get help. She may be trying to kill her son because she feels that she's let her son down. But, we sit back and she's now become a laughing stock all in the state of Indiana. And I really don't know how she was caught, if someone has seen her do it or if her son has seen her do it. But I really don't know how she's going to be able to get redemption from her son. Oh, I'm so sorry I tried to kill you by shooting my feces into your IV. Now, this would have most certainly have killed him. And I don't know if it would be obvious to the medical examiner, but what gives anyone the right to do this? But this one just kind of bugs me. Most children trust their parents, and if they keep doing this, what's going to, more and more parents are abusing their children, and we keep looking at this and now this 15-year-old son is going to know what's going to go on. And, they've posted the name of the mother. And, does this make this posting the name of the mother seem a little pointing him out? Do we all have, it's, oh, well, everyone has the right to know, and, it's our democratic right to know everything about everyone. I don't see where that comes into play. This son now has to live with the guilt that his mother tried to kill him. Now, like I said before, I don't know what the reasons are why he felt or why she felt she had to kill him. But really? Killing your own son. Now that would be worse than killing someone else. And I can't see any reason why we allow this. Can you? Now, I don't know how long one gets for killing their own children. I don't know if it's any different than you trying to kill anyone else. But this time, isn't there a trust that built there? Well, she obviously didn't seem to think that was important, because here she is, just, and Why does it have to be so disgusting? I choose in this section not to say the name of the mother or the son, or because I don't feel it's that important to know. We do know that this person is facing charges, and she is charged. It's not that she's being convicted of the offense. And that's important to say too, because if she is found innocent, then she has the right to continue on with her life. Now, again, I don't know what the circumstances are of this, but why would you want to do that with your feces? Like, was it kind of like, oh well, let's see what happens if I inject him with my feces? Let's see if it will kill him. Now, what happens if the son says to her, oh, you know what, I've had enough of chemotherapy. I just want to die. Well, that's a completely different situation. Is it? Do you have the capability at 15 years old to make a life-changing decision? If you think back to when you were 15, were you able to make such a decision? I don't think you are. Though a lot of people think, oh, my son can do anything, blah, 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 blah. But I think we have to follow this one and see what happens to it. Because no matter what the reason, what she did was wrong. I don't know why she thought that this was correct by any means. Something to discuss. But it's surprising how many people will fall on either side of this. Okay, that's our chat for this week. Yes, Nico, it is. Nico's right here. You can probably just hear him shake. Yes, we're going to go out. Nico and I are going to go out shortly for our last walk of the evening. But remember, Sunday morning or Monday morning, start making your plans for getting to work now. Don't go out driving because remember, you don't know how the other people are out there driving. There could be emergency vehicles trying to get to scenes of accidents. So, be sensible. Be sane. Don't be a cause of an accident.